Hello everyone, this is MF217 and joining me are...
Well, Link's typing, but the one that's going to be the main focus of this is me, Power.
Yeah,
Considering...
I'm just kind of in the background doing some TV trope shit.
Yeah, he's an observer.
He's an observer to what's going on. I would have played Quest 64 for the video we're going to be doing, considering what Power is going to be discussing, but I kind of redid my file on that, and I'm trying to get back to where I was in terms of overall stats. And right now I just figured I might as well make a LeafGreen episode since I haven't done it in a while, and before I got too far ahead and did more to Sevi Island stuff, I might as well get the other two legendary birds. So, Power. To start off with, we have basically gotten to you having beaten Quest 64, and,
Literally just minutes ago.
And what do you have to say on that, for that matter, you know?
It's not a bad game by any means. It's certainly better than what Perjure made it out to be.
And, considering, like, what all do you have to say as an example is what you can really say about what your personal experiences with it are as opposed to what Projared's were, you know?
Well, here's the thing. I actually tried to enjoy the game. It didn't seem like he did.
Considering, didn't he say he ran from most of the battles once he got to a certain point?
Yeah, and the battles that I didn't run away from, he used the magic barrier spell, which, by the way, since I never got my earth element far enough up, I never got.
Fun.
I had a different way of cheesing the game.
I can imagine, cause, yeah.
If you focus your magic on one or two elements, then yeah, they're going to be pretty goddamn strong, but... the entire game's story is actually based around the balance of the elements. So it actually makes sense for you to have a bit more spread out in terms of how your elements are. Which, while you won't be dealing as much damage with your spells and will thus have longer battles, that's where raising your other stats come in.
Of course, of course. You know, apologies if I'm kind of out of it at the moment. I had to recover from a few days of being rather low on sleep and all that. And it's kind of... it adversely affected me on Sunday. It's still kind of affecting me today. Let's just say I haven't been quite getting the best sleep as of late, for a variety of reasons.
I'm not gonna get into those reasons.
So you were saying, Power, like, what else do you have to really bring up here? Like...
well, let me just say that the save total here is a tiny bit inaccurate for what I actually finished the game with.
Because, in terms of what he did, he made a second file to, put the save data for his point of no return part of the game.
Yeah, King Pidgeot, when you beat him, gives 25 health, so... just imagine that my Brenna Castle save has a tentative 418 instead of 393. Because once you beat Pidgeot, you basically go into the point of no return zone.
Effectively, yeah.
It's not just effectively, that is really what it is. Because once you go and do the thing, let's just say... I hope that you're more well-equipped to fight whatever's in there. I mean, unless you're Pro Jared and you just spam the magic barrier spell or run the fuck away like a coward.
Speaking of facing an absurdly powerful boss, I already caught Moltres, as you guys already saw in the at least 2 other episodes of the playthrough, in which part 1 of the encounter was me trying to figure out how I was going to go about weakening it to see if I could actually catch it in time for the end of the episode and all that. Well, why am I getting a bad feeling about that? I'm going to use Togetic to try and weaken it, because I know it's a lower attack stat, meaning Ancient Power shouldn't hopefully annihilate Articuno in one foul swoop. Yeah, that's about as low as I'm gonna get the freaking HP to be at this point, so...
Yeah, don't chance it anymore.
At least I got a good start of lowering its HP at this point, so yeah. Honestly, the hard part with Articuno so far was just getting back to it, because I kind of sort of forgot that apparently the puzzle resets in the Seafoam Islands when you apparently exit the game or whatever. And of course it knows Agility, it knows Mist, it knows Mind Reader, but what's the other move?
Well, here's hoping you won't get to see that move.
I'm hoping it's not Sheer Cold, because that's going to piss me off if it is. Anyways, your thoughts on Quest 64, because I'm assuming you have a lot more to say than what you've already had.
Well, the one thing that I will say about it that Pro Jared might be half right about is that the story isn't that great. But then again, this is an N64 RPG, which there were relatively few of, so the lack of kind of a really big narrative can kind of be forgiven, since this was one of the first RPGs ever on the platform. You can't exactly expect to go big on the first ever RPG and then fall flat on your fucking face.
Especially considering it's technically not even the first one entirely guilty of that, even though it's been a few years since those sort of RPGs were kind of a thing, you know?
I mean, you had your RPGs on the NES and SNES before that, mainly the Final Fantasy series.
I, at some point, need to get to starting, playing a game called Secret of Evermore on SNES again, because my cousins apparently must have had that game, and I found it just lying around looking all interesting on the cover of the cartridge and all that, and I decided that since my grandparents had the SNES out at that point, I might as well just hook all the thing up and then put it in and see how it is. I kind of made a bit of an error nicknaming the dog Garurumon without realizing that the direwolf form it gets in the first part of the game is going to change later on. Because the entire reason I ended up naming it Garurumon is because it got turned into this direwolf-esque beast compared to the original dog it was prior to that.
Okay, there is one last thing I can actually check very easily. I'm not even going to make a new save, because apparently they have cheats preloaded into the emulator for this game.
Yeah,
And
Project 64 admittedly does have a few cheats preloaded, so...
And Quest 64 is one of the games that has that preload.
Although, admittedly, you're not really missing all that much. All it does is pretty much maximizes your stats and all that.
Yeah, but I can at least see what all spells I missed out on.
Yeah, fair enough, considering even I mostly know the water spells, because that's the one I maxed out first on my playthrough, both my playthroughs that I've done within the past year so far.
Extinction? What the hell?
Which element is that?
Fire. I think that's your one-hit kill spell.
I don't know if it's a one-hit kill or not, but if you can find your way to get into a fight, I'd kind of like to see how that thing works. But show me later, I'm kind of in the middle of catching a goddamn bird here.
Let's see, of course you get Magic Barrier and Weaken all for Rock.
By the way, speaking of the goddamn birds, I'm gonna leave this up to the comments to decide, if anyone wants to see me use the, cheats to get me the, items for the... I can't remember the name of the island for it, but, the island that allows me to catch both Lugia and Ho in it, if anyone wants to see me do that, it's probably gonna be after I, complete this Heavy Island stuff overall, and so it's probably not going to be for a while, but if anyone wants to see me do the event-only stuff, I'll be free to do it, considering the only real reason I feel comfortable doing it is because was that event actually released in the US? The ones for Lugia and O for Fire and Leaf Green?
I'll Bulbapedia that. What am I looking for?
I can't remember the item or the island for it, but in Fire and Leaf Green there were 2 islands you could go to where you could catch Ho and Lugia.
Oh, I'll just search Ho then.
Or you could search Lugia, it doesn't really matter, considering they're both effectively the same goddamn island. Just 2 different segments of it. Did someone leave the call?
No, I stopped the screen share because aside from what I was checking to see what spells I missed, that's kind of it for Quest 64, because there's no New Game Plus. A tad bit of a shame.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you need the Naval Rock, which requires you to have the Mystic ticket.
And if I'm not mistaken, as I was saying for the last few moments, both Ho and Lugia are at that place, right? They're just at the opposite ends of it, considering Lugia's underground underwater, and Ho's at the very peak of the mountain on that.
Yep.
But yeah, since this video is simply your idea, Power, like, you assumedly have more to say, right?
Just cracking my knuckles for this one. Why do people dunk on games like Quest 64?
That's a bit of a broad question, don't you think?
Because it's a bit of a punching bag. Honestly, all games are punching bags at this rate.
Well, at least modern games especially, because,
But people have been dunking on a lot of classic games because, oh, they're not as good as they used to be back then. We are so much more advanced now. Blah, de blah, de blah.
And...
Listen, boomers, you had shitty games in your era. We have shitty games in our era. That's what the angry video game nerd is for.
Also, that reminds me, I can't remember the guy's name, but I think I might have brought this up in a previous recording, but, Didn't I bring up some hack who was in charge of PlayStation's PSN store for PSP, PS3, and PS Vita? That basically did not see the appeal whatsoever in retro gaming, to the point he kind of tried to shut down the store for those sort of things, because he did not see the appeal everyone else did.
What?
And you wonder why no one at Sony believes in game preservation. Nintendo and Microsoft are doing a way better job at that than Sony ever could.
Although I kind of wish Nintendo worked a bit faster in that regard, considering, like, sure, the NES and SNES online are good, but I kind of want an N64 online, if you ask me.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Well, then the next step up would have to be the GameCube, then.
And the Wii, considering we definitely are capable of that, especially with the Joy-Cons basically having the motions of the Wii Motion Plus, what's it called?
The Wii remote itself.
No, the Wii Motion Plus, because of Skyward Sword, because aren't we getting Skyward Sword HD for the Switch?
Yeah, and they remade the controls so that,
You can play it without the motion controls, right?
yes.
Honestly, if you ask me, I don't know
not
whether that's
entirely without the motion controls, considering that the Joy-Con still have motion controls in them, but they will probably have an option to where if you really don't want to use the motion controls,
Technically
or you can't
speaking,
control because
the
of a
Pro
disability.
Controller has some kind of motion controls built into it as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I've never heard of that.
Because there are some puzzles in Breath of the Wild that require the gyro sensor, and the Pro Controller can actually use the gyro sensor in it. So,
You know what else had a gyro sensor?
what?
The Vita. You wanna know why I know that?
Why?
Because there was gyroscopic aiming in Borderlands 2. For the record, I turned that shit off. Because for a first-person shooter like that, it may have a bit of realism to it, but it does not feel good to me.
Speaking of which, there's a similar feature for the bows in Breath of the Wild in that regard. I turned it off, because I didn't know how to work it properly at the time, considering I was just getting back into motion controls at that point, so... Considering it had been quite a long time since I even touched motion controls at that point, so...
Yeah, I haven't really touched motion controls at all since I traded in my Wii.
I've been playing a lot of other systems between when I last played the Wii and when I kind of had to unfortunately skip out on the Wii U because I couldn't afford it. So.
And I'm pretty sure you were missing out on a lot. The Wii U was just a Wii without the GameCube compatibility.
Is a gross understatement.
Pardon?
I'm pretty sure the Wii U actually did have HD, and...
No, it did have HD!
Honestly, Corey, saying that it's the Wii without motion control is just fucking...
I didn't
wrong.
say without motion control. I said without GameCube compatibility.
Oh.
Yeah, admittedly, I actually did have a second chance to get the Wii U, but when I told my brother that it doesn't have GameCube compatibility, we just got a replacement Wii as opposed to a Wii U, because we had to replace the Wii itself at one point because the disc reader was acting all crazy, and we were basically given the option of getting a Wii U to replace it with, but I had to tell my brother if he wanted to play GameCube games still, he had to get the regular Wii itself, so...
And he did, evidently.
Yeah.
I mean, we have emulation for that now, but still.
It's not even perfect yet, considering I still have a lot of issues with Star Fox Adventure, so...
Well, I haven't had any issues with any of the games I've tried on it, so...
There is an ungodly amount of lag with Star Fox Adventures, I will admit.
Oh, geez, you got kind of fucked up there on your Raichu.
Honestly, I'm more fucked up over the fact that I have no other moves that can inflict sleep, and I kind of had to paralyze it after I ran out of PP for sleep powder on Venusaur.
Well, you can't say this is totally my episode, since I'm at least trying to focus on your catching escapades.
Well, you did have quite a lot to say, did you not? So I'm kind of wanting you to go further in depth of what you're trying to say here, because you were saving when we were doing the next recording for when you beat Quest 64, so I'm assuming you had quite a bit to say, so...
What specifically do you believe I had the most issues with between my playthrough and that other guy's?
Well, I thought you already knew that, considering you kind of already knew... It seemed like you already knew what you wanted to talk about, right?
Well, I mean, what did you notice? Because you were playing it too, and you were watching me play it.
I guess for some reason it's the fact Pro Jared was making out the game to be more of a shallow game than what it actually was.
Yeah, the only RPG that's allowed to be shallow is Final Fantasy 13.
He made it out to be more soulless than it actually was.
Yeah, leave it to me to find where all the effort went. And consequently, where all the effort Pro Jared never put into his review. Because it's like, if you want to really experience the game, then you can't just ham-fist yourself to 2 elements. Because with the way his element distribution was, I don't think he even found a lot of the spirits. Because he had a grand total of like 92 spell levels across leveling and finding spirits in the field. Where I had like closer to 120 or 130. I gave a shit. That's the very first thing you have to learn when you're doing a video game review. Anybody ever. You have to give a shit.
Swap!
You're gonna run out of Pokemon at this rate.
Nah, Lapras is gonna be able to tank whatever Articuno has to throw, so... It literally only knows Ice Beam is his only attack, I noticed, and Lapras double resists Ice, so... And because it's also Ice-type itself, it can't be frozen, so...
And since all your Pokemon are faster than it...
Well,
and on top of the
actually,
level
Articuno
difference-
knows Agility, and it used it like 3 times already at least. So it's actually faster now, so...
Well, base speed with the 20 level difference. So sheer cold would have no effect.
It doesn't even know Sheer Cold. It has Ice Beam, Mist, Mind Reader, and Agility. It doesn't know Sheer Cold.
And I think it's just run out of Ice Beams. So you better hope that you catch it before it starts using fucking Struggle.
That's what I'm hoping on.
But yeah, there's actually a lot more depth to Quest 64 than most people realize.
How so?
Well, not really in the story, but in the actual gameplay. Because the story is just your run-of-the-mill small little boy in a small town being bigger than what anyone else envisioned he would be. And of course, there's a leveling system where, to put it in more descriptive terms than poor Jared ever will, your health not only goes up when you hit things with your stick, but when you get hit. He never mentions that because he never gets hit. At least not later on, when he either runs away or uses magic barrier.
Finally!
Which consequently also means that his defense is gonna be shit. Sure, you do raise your agility by running around, but it also goes up by monsters missing you. And the wind element actually gets an agility buffing spell that will actually increase your evasion chance more, which will make your agility go up even faster. MP's self-explanatory. The only way that's going up is if you cast a lot of shit.
And it goes up fairly slowly compared to most of the other stats in the game, so that's kind of why I mentioned he's more of a monk in terms of how Brian's abilities function, as opposed to a mage.
I mean, he does use a lot of spells, but apparently the most damaging thing he has is his fucking staff if you get the elements up.
Especially considering each of the individual elements are limited by their own level 50 cap they have respectively going for them. But the staff can actually go up to 200 if you maxed all of them out, basically. But yeah, any more to say, or should we end the recording here? Because
I actually did find something out of when I was looking up the combat experience and shit.
Yeah?
The element levels actually add to the other element levels by fractions based on how much they've gone up. So the effective level for any element is actually technically 75, because once you max them all out, it's a calculated plus 25 level bonus. And it also makes your spells more powerful. It gives you more powerful versions, even though it won't say it until you use the actual spells themselves, which I might actually try out later. Considering that that Project 64 has to cheat for it. I mean, I may as well. I already beat the game. What else is there to see?
But yeah, I kind of need to do some grinding for money, because in order for me to go after Zapdos, I need to restock on Ultra Balls, so...
You sure you don't want to pull in a meal and catch one in a fucking Pokeball?
Nah.
Yeah. Go get that grinding done.
But yeah, are we pretty much done with the recording, or you got more to say, or... Like, Power, you got more to say, or are we pretty much done for the moment?
Yeah, Quest 64 doesn't give you the most to work with in terms of talking points, aside from things that we've already discussed in out-of-episode voice chats.
Pretty much. Is that all?
For one of the first RPGs ever in the system, it's not that deep to go into. But for what it is, it's a quaint little experience that more people should honestly check out. I won't tell you where to get it, because that would kind of be not very legal to do. But if you want to go hunting for it, there's options out there.
Oh yeah. Just make sure you have a memory card for it, though, because that's required for you to be able to save, like some of the other N64 games out there, so...
Yeah, at least the game won't totally glitch out if you decide not to use a memory card.
Also, the fact it actually doesn't take up as much space as you'd think it would, so there's also that merciful fact.
There we go. We're at 30 minutes. We can close up shop for this episode.
Okay then, so with that said, this has been MightyFan217 with
The editing hero of time, and me.
And
I wasn't editing the video. I was editing TV tropes. Silly.
Exactly.
I haven't said very much at all this entire episode.
But yeah, with that said, we'll see you guys next time, and hopefully we'll get to doing more progress on LeafGreen at some point. Hopefully continue the Banjo-Kazooie Let's Play, but we'll see what we can get to next when the time arrives. So see you next time.